Hello again, welcome back everyone. Liquorhound here with you. Thank you for joining me once again for another Spirit Review video. And today we're going to be taking a look at a couple of brand new releases from Laphroaig. Those both being 200th anniversary celebratory bottlings that were released here in 2015. The re-release of the Laphroaig 15-year-old and the 2015 Cairdeas. Now, as far as the Cairdeas goes, what they were trying to do, because it is the 200th anniversary bottling, was recreate what Laphroaig was like 200 years ago. So in order to do that, they used the small stills there at Laphroaig, and they used barley that was malted, floor malted there at Laphroaig as well. Didn't bring in anything. Okay, once it was fermented and distilled, then what they ended up doing was just ex-bourbon barrel maturation. So they tried to keep it really simple, bottled it at 103 proof. Now for the reintroduction of the Laphroaig 15, of course the old 15 was legendary, discontinued in 09. But what they were trying to do again was recreate that for the folks that have not had the luxury of trying the old 15, or maybe they didn't even know about it, because back in 09 when this was gone, the 18 came in and everybody, loved the old 15. But they just said the demand was too high and their stocks were too low, so they did away with it. Okay, but here we go again, 72,000 bottles, Laphroaig 15, both bottled at 86 proof. We're going to see how they nose and how they taste compared to one another. And the first thing that you'll notice, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but the old 15 is a little bit darker than the new 15. And I kind of put those side by side just so that we can see this. What that tells me is that there was a little more sherry whiskey probably in the old 15. It could be that there was older whiskeys in the old 15. Because again, just because it says 15-year-old on the bottle doesn't mean there's not older whiskeys in it. It just means that 15-year whiskey was the minimum age for the whiskey in that bottle. So it could be older whiskey, it could be more sherry whiskey. But either way, we're going to get to the nosing right now. 86 proof, discontinued. Wow, so nice. It's a little bit of citrus, but a lot of sherried red fruits. Think raspberries, strawberries, cherries, but think of them being slightly stewed. There is a little bit of a meatiness to it. The sea air coming out of the glass. Again, not just salt. It's almost like a fishnets, or a little bit of that sea in the glass. Vanilla kind of lingering, cinnamon in here as well. A little bit of orchard fruits. And I would expect that, because typically on Laphroaig, if it's just ex-bourbon barrel matured Laphroaig, you get orchard fruits. You kind of get that in there, but the sherry influence is definitely what's big. Surprisingly, the iodine that you find on the new Laphroaig 10 isn't the player in there. It's actually more about the sherried whiskeys, the smoked smoked meat, and the brine. Okay. Now for the new 15-year-old. Wow. As you can tell, I've been doing my research, as the level indicates. I've had this a couple times, maybe more than a couple, but I will say that the thing that surprises me the most on this one, on the nose, is tropical fruits. And we are talking guava. That's the main player in the tropical fruit, is guava. There's also an underripe pineapple to this guy. The vanilla is still in here. Big, I would almost say, pretty big citrus note to it. Up front, kind of in here. Yep, citrus, tropical, chocolatey almost. Cinnamon, vanilla. A little bit of old leather. And I'm trying to find the orchard fruits, but I'm not finding it as much in here. I think it's in there, but I think it's just the tropical fruits are kind of on top, so they're melded pretty closely together. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and, I'll just go ahead and nose the Cairdeas. Yeah, here we go. This is more Laphroaig 10, Laphroaig cast strength style. Vanilla, golden apples, golden raisins, but the apples are a little underripe, so not that really rich. You know, that when an apple's really ripe, it's really potent. It's not like that. The peat is here, almost it's not just the smoke. You know, a lot of times you'll get just a lot of smoke. This one's almost like the vegetal, the actual peat itself, the bog is in this one. Vanilla, custard. The lemon zest is still in here right up front. Cinnamon. Wow, call me crazy, but I think it's the vegetation of the bog mixed with the cinnamon, mixed with the smoke. Almost gives me like a whisper of cardamom. The little bit of that smoked meat element is still going on underneath. Very, very nice. Okay, more Laphroaig typical style. Going back, switching gears again, back to Laphroaig 15, on to the taste. Ooh, that's a good whiskey. Ooh. Very, very soft, very creamy, very elegant feeling whiskey. Especially for 15 years old, it feels much older. The way it enters is just it's not really big, vibrant, like citrusy. It's actually pretty creamy and red fruits, kind of those stewed fruits again. So you take those red berries, those cherries, raspberries, and let's say strawberries, and you stew them together for a little bit. You get that kind of element. Oh, and it changes gears on the mid palate. So on the mid palate, just as you're being wowed by the softness, elegant creaminess, the red fruits, not a big smoke right up front. On the mid palate is where the smoke kind of starts growing with a little bit of that cinnamon as it starts enveloping with those red fruits. As we hit the crest, milk chocolate, dark chocolate together. It's almost like that sweet, not just bitter chocolate, it's a little sweet to it. And it crests, and onto the finish you get tobacco ash. The smoke, that peat reek is now still mixing in with the cigar smoke, the ash, and that's what you're getting on the finish, but the red fruits are still kind of intertwined in with that smoke. The meatiness of the smoked meat is still in there, and it's kind of in there as well. Yeah, it's a perfect balance. That's why it's won so many awards. That 09 and previous Laphroaig 15 was phenomenal. Okay, now the new 15-year-old, we're going to see how that compares. It's not a wow whiskey, okay? It's not one of those that makes me go, oh wow, you know. What this does is, while it's, and tasting it back to back is pretty insane because that Laphroaig 15 is so good, so refined. But this one is different. I don't even like comparing the two because even though this has some sherry whiskey in it, just like that did, this tropical fruit element that this has just makes it so unique, okay? The thing that I notice is it's not as oily, it's not as creamy on the palate as it enters. But right up front, when you first swallow, you get that cinnamon, almost like a zest on your tongue, and that's right when that guava hits. And it's guava and it's underripe pineapple. Vanilla underneath. Then the smoke grows on the mid palate. Not a lot of cinnamon. So this one has cinnamon kind of growing on that mid palate, adding some warmth to it as it hit that finish on the back end when the chocolate came in. This one, not so much cinnamon, just the smoke kind of creeping in, fogging in. As you hit that back of that mid palate, now we are getting the chocolate again, very similar to how that one did. Milk and dark chocolate. I want to see if there's any. There is some orchard fruits mixed in with those tropical fruits up front. but they're so overshadowed by the tropical you can't even hardly notice them. And then here we go onto the finish. Just after that chocolate comes in, the smoke is more just peat smoke. It's not cigar ash, as that one was kind of having introduction into on the finish. This one is just peat smoke. Not super meaty, but the tropical fruits are kind of fighting their way through it into the back end. There is some old leather to this guy on the back as well, just adding a little more complexity to it. So while it doesn't feel as old or as elegant as the old 15, that tropical and citrus pop up front, and then the softness of the smoke creeping in without a huge heat from the cinnamon is actually really nice on this new 15. It's just different, okay? Different but very nice. All right, so now we're going to go on to the new Cairdeas. Again, 103 proof, small stills, malted barley there at Laphroaig. Ex-bourbon barrel. It's nice. It really doesn't drink like 103 proof. Right up front, it's, wow, hold on. It's a little bit of, what was that? A little bit of that citrus zest right up front. Lemon again. Lemon zest up front. Almost a little bit of like a furniture polish. And I say that because there's almost like a little twinge of like a rubber band element to it. Kind of reminds me of some of those Kilhomans will do that. Or Colila will occasionally do that, the rubber band element. There's a little bit of that in here. Yeah, it's in there. As a matter of fact, it's lasting here on the mid palate. But it's a good element to it. You know, it's not the typical just straight up medicinal iodine like the Laphroaig 10 will give you. This one is, it's iodine, but the rubber band kind of little plasticine. Not a super negative, but it is a little different. I'll say that. It's a little different. But maybe that's the new bold style of Laphroaig. Who knows? All right. Lemon zest, vanilla, cinnamon. It's a smoldering heat. Matter of fact, the smoke doesn't feel tobacco-ish as this one did. This one feels like coal, like campfire embers, campfire smoke. The brine is there, mixed in with a lot of vanilla. There's a lot of vanilla on this guy. That ex-bourbon barrel is definitely taking control on the vanilla front. The orchard fruits, that's what I'm getting. So it's orchard fruits, kind of like golden apples, golden raisins, but not super ripe. Not super ripe apples. Okay, we're thinking maybe a little bit underripe on the orchard fruits. But fairly sweet. A little bit of honey. There's that little bit of rubber band, no big deal. Here comes that smoke. It's growing, the brine in the background. Again, kind of like a fishnet. And then the smoke. And it's just that campfire soot. But anyway, a really nice whiskey. I think this whiskey is retailing around $100. This one was retailing around $80. So if you see them out there, I'd probably suggest picking one or two up. I think they're both really nice for what they are. Again, I hope you enjoyed this video. Everybody have a great evening and cheers.